My name is Felicia Ortiz, and I chose to cover the rotator cuff strains in college softball players, specifically at Texas Lutheran. The one risk factor that I'm going to be focusing on mainly today is going to be the shoulder muscle imbalance. If a group of muscles is not functioning properly or at a decreased rate, they're at a higher risk of injury due to the imbalance, causing a change in the path of motion for a joint during a specified movement. How muscle imbalance plays a role in the injury. The rotator cuff muscles are as follows: the supraspinatus, which elevates the shoulder, the subscapularis, which allows the humerus to move freely during elevation, the infraspinatus, which externally rotates the shoulder, as well as the teres minor, which is responsible for external rotation. This imbalance can cause the athlete to rely more on their stronger muscles. This can cause the weaker muscles to get even weaker, and it just becomes a continuous cycle. The previous injuries can also have an effect. They can have the muscles or injured muscles specifically in a weaker, more vulnerable state, causing an imbalance to occur at a higher rate. In epidemiologic connection, the TLU softball players showed a 10% of the rotator cuff injuries had previous types of muscle imbalance and injuries. The percentages might have been higher due to there not being record of all of the muscle imbalances in all of the injured players. They may not have been known prior to whoever was evaluating them for their rotator cuff injuries. I think that a good idea would be to have a muscle strength test taken for each athlete at the beginning of the season, each of the softball athletes, to determine any type of muscle imbalances, if any were there, and to keep record of these imbalances to use if injuries do occur later during the season to help determine if the muscle imbalances were factors and were causes of the rotator cuff injuries later on during the season. Prevention plan. Isokinetic training was proven to be more effective training when compared to just normal dynamic resistance training when trying to strengthen the rotator cuff muscles. And isokinetic training, as you can see pictured here to the right, the exercise machine tracks the different levels of resistance, and it is able to track your movements. That way your movements are at a constant speed. No matter how much force you are applying, whatever strength level you are at, the machine will always match it. This should be done 3 times a week at least, along with performing daily stretches to the shoulder and upper back to maintain normal movement, to be sure that certain muscles aren't tight while others are looser. Then you will be relying more on the looser ones and not the tight ones. And also make sure that the correct throwing technique is used to activate the correct muscles to help decrease the chances of muscle imbalance. Another great exercise that could be done is the rotator cuff machine, where you are laying on your back supine and your arms are in this position, and you are able to push forward at whatever type of strength that you're able to do. That is another exercise that could be done in place of this isokinetic training if they're unable to do so. And these are my references.